I'm Trudy Pooks. My pronouns are they, them. I'm 19 years old, and I'm from upstate New York. What I hope for people who listen to this podcast, I hope that it's a non-pretentious space of queerness and LGBTQ plus representation. Because I feel like, drawing off of a personal experience, some of the spaces I've been in have felt so like, you have to be a certain type of LGBTQ plus to like fit in here. And it feels counterintuitive for what I want personally. In my mind when I'm visualizing is like just a big pile of like half-formed Jell-O, just like figuring out what you want while you're listening to our podcast, because you don't have to be a cube yet or like ever. So I hope that like in the space you're allowed to just spill out.
Woke up on the right side of the rainbow, feeling bright, gonna put on a good show. There's a skip in my step, I'm doing my best, and I guess that you could say I'm feeling queer today. I'm feeling queer today.
Hello there, I'm Lily Mother. My pronouns are they, she, and he. I'm 19 years old, and I am from Massachusetts.
And once again, I'm Trudy Pooks.
And we want to welcome you to
I'm Feeling Queer Today,
the podcast that amplifies the voices of LGBTQ plus youth.
Happy Pride Month, everyone! Today we have a special episode for you featuring the incredible Jazz Jennings. We call this one Activating Pride.
Trudy, that was you at the top of the episode talking about how you want this podcast to not be pretentious or intimidating. And one way you've made it more friendly is by creating a truly awesome, wonderful, enjoyable, entertaining trivia segment, which has become a really great way to spark conversations and get to know people. Can you talk about how this segment provides a safer way for people to open up about themselves?
I was really excited about doing trivia because I think that the concept of being able to ask people silly questions leaves opportunity for people to kind of open up about themselves and how they may relate to questions, but it doesn't force them to, which is something that I feel like can make people hesitant to like get interviewed. Because they're like, what if they ask me this kind of question? Or what if I say something I don't like? And I think that trivia helps you to be a little more silly, and it's more optional to open up in certain ways. And while it's still optional, I feel like in the trivia like pieces that I've done, I feel like people do open up and do talk about personal things. So it was really enjoyable and fun, but also I was able to kind of get more of a look into people's lives, which is really great.
Yeah, I appreciate, like, I would not have thought of that as a technique, because I'm very pro, like, thinking before you speak. I was like, don't get it twisted, people at home. Like, I like that we're now in a world where we're expected to, like, be conscientious about the things that are coming out of our mouths. But I think it can be very hard. There can be a lot of pressure in spaces like this, or if you've ever been in, like, an activism context, to be the person that uses all the right terminology that represents the entire community perfectly. So I love that you came up with this method to sort of get people to open up and be themselves without the pressure of knowing absolutely everything or filtering the person that they are to be more consumable. And today we will see that you sat down with our fellow producer Claire and a special guest, Jazz Jennings. You might know Jazz. She's been involved in trans rights activism since childhood. She co-wrote the book I Am Jazz while still in her early teens, and she's founded multiple foundations that support the lives and livelihoods of trans youth. She's an actress, a model, and an active social media personality. What an icon. Yeah, were you so excited to work with Jazz?
I was so excited to work with Jazz because I feel like she was one of the first LGBTQ plus youth role models I had growing up. That was definitely the initial reasoning. It was like, like that would be such a dream. I've only heard about her. I've never got to speak to her, but that would be so cool. And then I think also I've been out for a long time. And I think that I was interested in talking to someone who also has been out as a trans person since early childhood. Because I think A lot of people come out later in life, especially if they're trans, because of social pressure or family support, et cetera, et cetera. Part of it was also, I think, finding community in people you don't know, which only probably could exist in this age of technology and screens. I hold such admiration for people who kind of felt like community to me when I was younger and didn't really have the same kind of LGBTQ plus peers around me. So, yeah, I was very excited to talk to her and play trivia. This was produced during Pride of 2023. The theme was queer celebration, and we're excited to share it. Hi, and welcome to 1 Minute Trivia. It's longer than 1 minute, but who's counting? I'm your host, Trudy Pooks. Here's how I set up the game. I've written up a bunch of different questions. Some hard, some easier. For each question you get right, you will get 2 points. Are you ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Today I'm here with Jazz Jennings and Claire, and we are going to do some queer celebration trivia. Would you mind each introducing yourselves with your names and pronouns?
Sure. I'm Jazz Jennings, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Claire, and I also use she, her pronouns.
And I am your host, Trudy Pooks, and I use they, them pronouns. I'm so excited to talk queer celebration. What does that mean to each of you guys? Do any words pop in your head when you think about it?
The word pride immediately comes to my head. Our whole community is about being proud of who we are and loving and accepting who we are. And I really, truly believe once you can love yourself and be proud of who you are, it unlocks the secret code within and you just approach life with an unstoppable attitude. And I love being a part of a community that's all about hyping each other up and just appreciating each other and ourselves. It's very empowering to be able to live your life authentically. And that's something I wish for everyone, to just be able to be who they are, to love themselves, and to just spread a lot of positivity.
Absolutely. What about you, Claire?
I agree. Pride immediately comes to mind. I'm thinking parades, I'm thinking rainbows and stuff like that. But I also think my immediate next thought is my friends and the way that we celebrate together, even if it isn't like an outward celebration, if it's just, we're together.
100%. I think that like friendship and queerness go together like peanut butter and jelly. I don't know. I'll come up with like a better metaphor later, but it's just like goes hand in hand. Are we ready to get started with our queer celebration trivia?
Yes, let's do it.
So for our questions, I will be asking the first question, and Claire has so generously agreed to be put on the spot and to be guessing.
You got this, Claire. You got this, girl.
First question. Pride is an international event that typically occurs during the month of June. Pride brings the LGBTQ plus community together to march, celebrate, and protest. However, Pride was not always an annual or widespread event. When was the first year of Pride? A, 1952, B, 1970, or C, 2001?
I think it's difficult because I was born in 2001. And whenever 2001 is an option for any question, I always pick it. However, I do feel like that might be too late. I feel like it is a tie between 1970 and 2001 because the 70s were very, on a surface level, very chill. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
I wish I could tell you. I feel like I like your...
We can't tell you.
Yeah. I like your frame of thought. I like this honesty about being biased to pick 2001. So I think it's that time to pick an answer as terrible and stressful as it is. What do you think?
All right, you know what? I'm going to pick 2001 because if it's 1970, then I'm going to be happy because more pride.
The first Pride was held on June 28th, 1970 in Los Angeles and Chicago on the 1-year anniversary of Stonewall. Many of the traditions of Pride were derived from the Reminder Day pickets, which were organized by the Eastern Regional Conference of Homophile Organization, also referred to as ECHO. After the Stonewall Uprising took place, ECHO decided to do a demonstration focused on Stonewall instead, and the birth of Pride took place. So yes, a little bit of knowledge. I honestly, until looking this up, didn't know necessarily that Echo was so involved and really created it.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I was trying to put where Stonewall was, and I knew that it wasn't near 2001, but I was like, okay, maybe there was more of a gap. But again, I am happy because more pride.
Yeah, more pride.
More pride.
Yeah, I almost wish I was like there for the first year of Pride. I must have been so powerful, so liberating. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because definitely a little bit scary after riots, fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I hate the way I said that, but you know what I mean. But a very liberating experience. I would have also have loved to be there.
Right. And I feel like there's so many things that are happening right now that I can go and be a part of. What about you, Jazz? What do you think?
It's really crazy because I just went to a rally with my brother, actually, and I spoke at the event. And it was just really empowering for me to just declare my truth. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Pride being what it was starting in 1970 and everything it's built up to. It was an incredible event. It was really an incredible rally where people were speaking their truths and speaking from the heart. And just to know that you're a part of that community of people who are so strong and who are so determined to create a better world, a loving world, it's just special.
It's so cool that you bring that up because I told my roommate today that I was going to get a chance to talk to you, and she literally was like, I just saw her at a rally speaking. Well, she wasn't there, but she saw a video of me speaking at the rally, so it's really interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, it was a rally in Washington, D.C., and I had never done something like that before. I've given speeches, but I've never gone to like an outdoor podium event where people are really like protesting, and I was a little nervous to give my speech, but I felt more confident than I usually do because I felt like now more than ever, we need to speak out. We need to share our stories and our messages and declare our truth to the world that we're not going to back down. We cannot erase our community and that they should just give up and stop trying to because we're always going to persevere. We're always going to be here.
And I feel like also you bring up a very important point about our community. Like, we're the ones holding us together in a really big way. And like, we have so much power to support each other and liberate each other. The satisfaction that I feel within my own community is so, so powerful. That feeling of pure acceptance and that almost like productive rage that I feel within my own community, especially around protests and community actions.
At Pride or like at rallies of this kind, and also some of the rallies that I went to when Roe v. Wade was overturned, that productive rage and that sense of like, it's almost familial. You know, you have this community, you have these groups of people around you who are supporting you, and we have something in common, yet we are so different. And we get to come together and fight for the same cause. And you're so right, you know, they should just give up because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're here for the long run. I feel like we proved that, but if we have to keep proving it, like, we're here. So how do we feel about moving on to the next and final question?
Yes, let's move on to question 2. So speaking of pride, the iconic rainbow pride flag is a symbol for LGBTQ plus pride and celebration. Now, it has become semi-common to see this flag displayed as a symbol of queerness or allyship. What year was the flag debuted? A, 1978, B, 1990, or C, 1967?
And what is the answer to this question? Well, all will be revealed, but you must stay tuned. Otherwise, you won't know the answer.
Up next, we have a story from Paris, a young activist in the Midwest. In this audio, taken from the Future Perfect Project's original series, Queer Youth Animated, we'll hear Paris' story about defending the reclamation of slurs like queer at a school assembly, which would empower them to claim queerness for themselves and start their journey as a powerful LGBTQ plus youth rights activist. Paris is an icon.
My name is Paris. I am 17 years old, and I am from Iowa City, Iowa. I kind of feel like I've known I was queer inside kind of my whole life. I definitely have never identified with straightness, so there's that. One moment I'm now remembering, we had an assembly in our school district, and it was sort of like student leaders were all gathered together. They were saying that the reclamation of slurs is impossible. And I remember I stood up and I raised my hand and I said, as a person that identifies with the word queer, I can say that it is not an impossibility to reclaim. That was the moment when I was like, oh, I just told 100 people from 3 different schools that I'm queer, and I haven't done that before. So that was sort of like almost movie vibes coming out to the school. I think the Iowa legislature is not on board with my queerness. Pretty much the whole gamut of all of the anti-queer bills that you may have heard about were put forward in Iowa in some capacity. They ranged from banning the discussion of gender identity in the classroom to preventing trans students from using bathroom that corresponds with their gender identity. Everywhere you turn, you realize that it's a coordinated attack on queer young people. Something for me personally that has been like the best way to deal with that has been taking action, made an impact on the process or tried to get a bill to be stopped or made a legislator look me in the eye and tell me that they're voting for a bill. Queerness has, in my life, touched like every corner of my mind. If my younger self could see me now, I would be more colorful than they anticipated. One way that I express the color in my life is my hair. It's big and curly and fun. Also, tending to flowers. I have an orchid that's blooming, bringing lots of color into my life. Part of my 4-year plan is to be wearing dresses by the end of college. I wore a jumpsuit to prom, so I took, one half step. We're getting there. A perfect future for me is one where I can say that every student knows that they have a voice and feels safe and free to exercise it.
Isn't that so relatable though? I feel like accidentally outing yourself and it being like, yeah, duh, this is me. And then being like, wait, after you're like, oh, wait, I forgot that maybe this person didn't know.
I just want to start at the top when they were said they've been queer their whole life. I find that very relatable, but I also would like to say, I feel like the accidentally becoming an activist is a story that I myself lived, but that I hear a lot. Especially in high school, I began to do more stuff, but even in middle school, that was very much what I was bringing. I don't think most people set out to be capital A activists. It's just people that see something that's not right and see themselves and their stories and their skills and their talents as something that could perhaps make change. I really loved what Paris said about being more colorful than they expected. I feel like a lot of me growing up is trying to get back to the person that I used to be, who was this very colorful, sun-drenched child that was running around and being a fool. I wanted to corroborate that Paris does have the most fabulous hair you've ever seen, and I think they have met their dress-wearing goal and their slaying. On that note, I did just want to finish up by saying this was recorded a few years ago before we were having so many trans healthcare restrictions and bans, and all of the drag bans that are basically criminalizing being publicly trans. So it's challenging to hear that even then they saw that the government of Iowa was strategically attacking the rights of trans people, and it's only picked up.
Hearing Paris' story was truly inspirational, and it's wonderful to hear people who are doing the work with an ORK and the work with an ERK. It's important. So now on the topic of queer celebration, let's get back to our queer trivia segment with Jazz Jennings and Claire and Trudy, me.
What year was the Rainbow Pride flag debuted? A, 1978, B, 1990, or C, 1967?
Now I have when Pride first was and Stonewall. So now I have those 2 dates. So I'm trying to build my world map. Okay, here are my thoughts. I want to pick 67 just because Pride was earlier than I thought. So this is going to be earlier than I thought, because I also want to say 78 because we're talking about the first Pride flag.
I was going to say, do you think the flag came before or after the first Pride event?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Honestly, I'm going to say before because I said later last time, so I think before.
So C, 1967, final answer?
Final answer.
The correct answer is A, 1978. The Pride flag, which was sewn by Gilbert Baker, was first displayed in June of 1978 at the San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Parade. Additionally, Harvey Milk encouraged Gilbert Baker to create a symbol for the gay community. Since the original flag's conception, more flags have been created, including the Transgender Pride flag, which was created by Monica Helms in 1999, or the Pride flag with brown and black stripes to bring attention and inclusivity to underrepresented LGBTQ plus people of color, which was created by the Philadelphia Office of LGBT Affairs in 2017.
Indeed.
I'm a bad gay. I'm bad.
No. No.
You're special. You are everything.
You know what? That means a lot. Thank you. I no longer feel bad. I do really vibe with trivia, though, because even though I got the answer wrong, I still got to learn so many new facts, and I was close both times.
You were very close.
Yes.
You were very close.
Great.
Yeah.
You did great.
I honestly didn't know. I knew that Harvey Milk had encouraged the creator to make the flag, but I didn't know when the year that it was made, and also found a lot more out about different flags. And it's interesting. Now it feels so common to see people displaying flags, but to think like, oh, there wasn't really a symbol this many years ago.
Yeah. And there's so many different iterations of the flag. There's the non-binary flag, there's the pansexual flag, all of the different flags. So it's really cool.
I love that there's so many different flags because it kind of reminds me of just the concept of flagging in general and how important that was in the community in the past and honestly still to this current day. I just think that that's really interesting. And I also feel like I personally know more about the 2017 flag because I remember when it was like released and I remember people talking about it than I do the original.
It's true. It's kind of like our lives that we live, the timelines that we see also. Each generation kind of comes up with their own signifiers. Anyways, do you guys have anything else to add, anything to say before we wrap up and talk about what each score means?
Everybody just gotta love everybody. That's my message.
You're right.
And love yourself. Love yourself first and just share that love and keep loving.
I think, Jazz, you're right. I think that it's important to love yourself because the second that you start loving yourself, you stop hating other people.
Yeah.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Because some of y'all just don't like yourselves and that's why you're acting like this.
It's true. 0 answers correct. The only celebration you will be having is a queer pity party. Cheer up, Buttercup. Pride is getting closer every day.
1 answer correct. You're getting closer to having a big queer celebration, but you have got to swap your sparklers for colorful fireworks and build a stage for drag performers. Become the queer you've always wanted to see and put on a fantastic party. 2 answers correct. You are so celebratory, it is almost out of hand. Luckily, there's no such thing as too much queerness. Like Rihanna and Taylor Swift have almost said, shine bright like a rainbow because queerness never goes out of style. Well, I would like to give such a big thank you for Jazz for joining. I really, really appreciate it. And Claire for guessing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
To say this is such a supportive segment, it makes me want to cry. Just little tears. And I think Jazz is now my mom, my friend. I'm the #1 supporter of Jazz.
Yay, trivia. So, before we go, let's hear from the rest of our team about how they celebrate Pride today and every day.
I celebrate my queerness every single day through the simple fact of my existence.
Celebrating my queerness at the moment looks like getting out of bed in the morning, taking a shower, making breakfast.
I celebrate my queerness by understanding that myself, but specifically my sexuality, is ever fluctuating.
I celebrate my queerness by being a part of my community.
In the times I tell my girlfriend I love her.
It looks like spending time with my friends.
By surrounding myself with other people who lift me up.
Being open about who I am with the people that matter.
By being around and building a community of people that want to be by your side through the journey.
The way I dress and the way I talk, the way I carry myself.
In the clothes that I wear, in the media I consume, in the friends that I get to be around.
Being able to cultivate my image and be vibrant.
I've never really been subtle about it either.
It looks like making doctor's appointments and then showing up for them.
Every day, I give myself more room to celebrate my own queerness.
Because being able to embrace that in myself not only really helps my confidence and keeps me secure in my identity, but could be really useful for others.
I understand that existing as I am authentically should be bare minimum.
I definitely remember every openly queer person I saw as a kid.
I celebrate my queerness by celebrating every facet of me, because it is an integral part of who I am.
My celebrations are minute. They are everyday tasks.
I celebrate my queerness by living through myself.
It's important that it's celebrated out in the open.
Every day, I thank the 15-year-old girl who was brave enough to be honest about her feelings, especially to herself.
Absolutely. I think that's so great. Lily, I noticed you were not in that recording, and I'd love to know how you celebrate Pride, literally or figuratively. There's no wrong answer.
The main way that I celebrate Pride in my day-to-day life is just being around other queer people. There's something so joyful about it to me. Even if I don't have the same experience as somebody, I think we're already on sort of the same plane of existence and we're ready to connect with each other in a way that you might not be with people that aren't queer and trans. I love to take in media and art made by queer folks, silly stuff. A lot of my gender presentation and the way that I feel about myself is about balance and about fluidity. So I love like a stommy boot and a dress, or I love like pigtails and like a coat, like a jacket. So silly things like that are very joyful to me. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think the thing of having pigtails and a big coat, now that you're saying that out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that too. People be like, your outfit's kind of random. I'm like, no, you just don't understand it. You know, like it's just like a secret for me of why I'm dressed this way.
So since some people aren't able to celebrate Pride out in the open for one reason or another, and we're with those people and we feel for them, what's one thing that you would say to someone about how they can celebrate this month and Pride throughout the year, even if they can't do so as openly as they might want to?
I'd say, honestly, Pride, it depends on your own interpretation of it. But I would say, do something nice for yourself more often during Pride. You know what I mean? Like, go get a latte if you don't normally do that. Do something fun that you know is for you and you know why you're doing it, even if it doesn't mean that necessarily other people do as well. Because, safety is absolutely number one, but also you're a part of the community. And if you want to celebrate that, that's absolutely your right to do so in whatever way you choose. And you can always check out the show notes. We have a ton of resources there, things to check out for support, but also know that you have people who have your back, even if we don't know each other personally. There's a whole community that is helping you through, whatever tough time you're going through. And a lot of us have been through those times as well. And the important thing is that you make it out the other end.
We hope that you have a wonderful Pride Month, no matter what that means for you. Please stay as safe as you're able to, and remember that you know your own story, you know who you are, and that you deserve happiness this month and all year round.
Absolutely. I'm Trudy.
And I'm Lily.
And you've been listening to I'm Feeling Queer Today.
Be sure to join us for our next episode, where we will be sharing an interview between our producer Sam and the one and only Desmond is Amazing. And if this is your first time listening, be sure to go back to the very beginning of Season 1 to explore all of our episodes that amplified the voices of queer youth across the country. And if you like what you hear, please rate us and share the show with your friends or family, or both. And don't forget to ask yourself, how am I feeling queer today? We hope you enjoyed our episode. For more information and resources about it, check out the show notes or visit the episode page at thefutureperfectproject.org/podcast.
If you or a young person you know between the ages of 13 to 24 is currently in a crisis, check out thetrevorproject.org for LGBTQIA+ specific support through text and chat, or call 1-866-488-7386. We will also include this information in the show notes as resources. To learn more about the Future Perfect Project and all of our free arts programming for LGBTQIA+ youth, visit thefutureperfectproject.org or find us on social media at The Future Perfect Project. I'm Feeling Queer Today is produced by the Future Perfect Project with support from Radio Kingston, WKNY, Kingston, New York.
This episode was produced by me, Trudy Pooks.
And me, Lily Muller, featuring Jazz Jennings, Claire Florence, and Parth.
Our theme song was composed and performed by Alex Massey and produced by Emma Jane Soslowski. Additional music composed by Alex Massey, Frankie Gunn, and Epidemic Sound. Episode mixing and mastering by Julie Novak with assistance from Emma Jane Soslowski.
Special thanks to executive producers and mentors Julie Novak and Celeste Lacine, as well as Future Perfect Project team members Ryan Amador, John Juan, and Aaliyah Jamil.